Hello and welcome, my dear friend. I'm so happy you're here with me today. Whether you're just starting your English journey or you've been practicing for a while, I want you to feel comfortable and supported. Learning a new language can feel exciting, but it can also feel a little stressful, especially when you worry about grammar or making mistakes. But I want you to know something very important right from the beginning. You don't have to speak perfectly to speak clearly. That's what this video is all about. Today we'll talk about how you can speak clearly in English without stressing too much about grammar. I want you to focus on the most important thing, sharing your thoughts and ideas. Communication is more important than perfection. Every time you speak, you practice. Every time you practice, you improve. You might have heard people say, you must learn all the grammar rules before you can speak, or your grammar must be perfect, or nobody will understand you. But that simply isn't true. Many people speak English every day, making mistakes along the way, and still manage to share their thoughts clearly and confidently. When we worry too much about grammar, we slow ourselves down, we hesitate, we lose our natural rhythm. Our words don't flow because we're always looking backward, trying to catch every little mistake. But today I want you to look forward instead. I want you to focus on what you want to say, not on what you're scared to say wrong. This video will help you do just that. Together, we'll go over gentle, practical techniques that you can use every day to improve your speaking. You'll also hear stories and examples to show you that you're not alone, that many other learners feel the same fears you do, and that they overcome them by being kind to themselves and practicing. As we go along, I'll repeat some key ideas in different ways so that they really stick with you. I want this to feel like a warm, comfortable conversation between us, like I'm sitting next to you with a cup of tea, gently cheering you on. You'll discover that you can speak clearly without worrying too much about every tiny grammar detail. Trust me, once you relax into the flow of your speech, your message will shine through, and people will appreciate hearing from you. And remember, my friend, that practice is the most powerful tool you have. Every sentence you say, every conversation you have, every small step you take will make you a better, more confident speaker. So let's take a deep breath together. Ready? Good. In the next chapter, we'll talk about why stressing over grammar can hold you back, and what you can do to let go of that fear. Let's begin this gentle journey together. Why stressing over grammar holds you back. Welcome back, my friend. I'm so glad you're still here. Let's take a moment to talk about why worrying too much about grammar can actually make it harder for you to speak clearly and confidently. When we learn a language, grammar feels like a very important part. And yes, grammar matters. But when we make grammar the center of everything, it can cause us to slow down too much or even stop speaking altogether. Imagine that you want to say a simple sentence, something like, I go to the park yesterday. Maybe you already noticed that go should change to went. That's good. But if you pause too long to correct yourself before you speak, your sentence might never come out. That's the first problem with stressing over grammar. It breaks your natural flow. It's like putting too many stop signs on a quiet street. Every time you try to speak, you hesitate because you're checking every little word. And this hesitation can make you feel even more nervous. The second problem is that worrying too much can take all the joy out of learning. You want to connect with people and share your thoughts. But if all you can hear in your head is a voice telling you that's not correct, then you lose sight of the most important thing, communicating. Even fluent speakers make mistakes sometimes. It's okay to do so. What matters most is that people understand your message. And there's a third problem too. When you focus too much on grammar, you may become scared of practicing with others. You might think, I'll wait until my grammar is perfect before I speak. But that day never really comes, because nobody is perfect. The only way to grow is to practice, make mistakes, and practice again. You can see that worrying too much about grammar can hold you back in 3 ways. It breaks your natural flow, steals your enjoyment, and stops you from using your English with other people. But here's the good news. You don't need perfect grammar to be clear. Even if your grammar isn't perfect, people can still understand you. Imagine you hear someone say, "Yesterday I go to park." Even though the grammar isn't perfect, you still know what they mean. That's what communication is really about. By letting go of this fear, you give yourself permission to speak more often. And every time you speak, you get a little more comfortable and a little more fluent. Over time, the grammar will improve too, naturally and easily, as you use the language in real life. So whenever you feel that fear of making mistakes, I want you to remind yourself of this. Your goal is to connect, not to be perfect. Every time you speak, you're moving toward that goal. Every time you let yourself speak without overthinking, you grow. In the next chapter, we'll talk about simple techniques you can use to speak clearly without worrying too much about grammar. These techniques will help you feel more relaxed and make speaking a more enjoyable experience. So take a deep breath. Remember that every small effort is a win. Let's continue on this path together. You're already doing great. Techniques to speak clearly without overthinking grammar. My friend, I'm so proud of you for sticking with this lesson. You already understand why worrying too much about grammar can slow you down. Now let's look at some simple, practical techniques that will help you speak clearly and naturally, without stressing so much about grammar. First, one of the most helpful techniques is to slow down your speech just a little. When you speak too quickly, it's easy to trip over your words or forget what you want to say. But when you slow your pace and give yourself a moment between sentences, you feel calmer. This also gives you time to choose simple words that you already know well. Slowing down is not a sign that you're struggling. It's a smart way to make sure your listener understands you. Second, focus on short, familiar phrases. Instead of trying to put together very long, complicated sentences, you can break your thoughts into smaller pieces. For example, instead of saying, "I went to the store yesterday to buy some fruits and vegetables because my fridge was empty," you can say, "I went to the store yesterday. I bought fruits and vegetables. My fridge was empty." Both versions share the same message, but the second one is simpler and easier for you to say. When you practice using short, clear sentences like this, you will feel more comfortable, and over time, you'll naturally begin to add more details and connect your ideas as you gain confidence. Third, remember that pausing is okay. Many people believe they must speak perfectly without any pauses at all, but even native speakers pause when they talk. It's completely normal. Pausing gives you a moment to breathe, to think about your next word, or to make sure you're saying what you mean. A short pause is much better than rushing and making yourself feel nervous. Another gentle technique is to practice everyday conversations with yourself. You can do this in the morning as you plan your day, or in the evening as you talk about what you did. You can even look in the mirror and describe simple things like what you're wearing or what you like to do. Practicing this way lets you hear yourself speak. The more you do it, the more natural it will feel, and the less you'll worry about grammar mistakes. And finally, I want you to focus on communicating your message, not perfection. Every time you say something clearly, even if it's not perfect, you succeed. Even if you make a small grammar mistake, if the listener understands you, you have achieved your goal. That's what matters most. When you slow down, use short sentences, accept pauses, practice by yourself, and focus on sharing your message, you'll feel much more relaxed. Remember, you don't need to sound like a textbook. You just need to sound like yourself, and you will improve every time you practice. In the next chapter, we'll look at gentle exercises you can do every day to grow your fluency. You'll see that practice doesn't have to feel like work. It can feel simple and enjoyable. Keep going, my friend. Every time you speak, You grow a little more confident. Practicing fluency with gentle exercises. By now, you already understand why we shouldn't worry too much about grammar, and you've learned some simple techniques to speak clearly. In this chapter, I want to help you take those techniques and put them into practice every day, because practice is what truly helps your fluency grow. The first gentle exercise you can try is called shadowing. Shadowing is when you listen to a short sentence in English. It could come from a podcast, a movie clip, or even this video, and then repeat it aloud. Don't worry if you can't do it perfectly the first time. Just listen carefully and try to match the sound and rhythm as closely as you can. Shadowing is helpful because it lets you practice pronunciation and flow without thinking too much about grammar. The more you do this, the smoother your speaking will feel. Next, you can practice with daily conversations to yourself. Every morning, take a few minutes to speak about your plans for the day. In the evening, describe what happened during the day. You can do this in front of a mirror, or simply as you go about your routine. You might say, "Today I will go to work and then read a book." Or, "I had a nice lunch today. The weather was sunny." These are very simple sentences, but they give you a chance to practice sharing your thoughts out loud. The more you do this, the more comfortable you will feel. Another gentle exercise is to read aloud. Choose a short article, story, or even the subtitles of a video you like, and read it slowly, out loud. Don't rush. Pay attention to the sound of the words and how they flow together. You'll notice that as you practice reading aloud, your mouth and ears will get used to the sound of English. This is an easy and relaxing way to improve your fluency and pronunciation without worrying about grammar at all. And here's one more helpful exercise. Record yourself and listen. It may feel strange at first, but recording your voice can help you hear your own progress. Pick a simple topic, like describing your favorite food or telling a short story about your childhood. Speak for 1 or 2 minutes, then listen to yourself. Don't look for mistakes. Listen for your clarity and flow. Notice the places where you feel strong and natural. Be kind to yourself. Every time you do this, you'll become a little more comfortable with your own voice. Each of these gentle exercises can fit into your daily life. They don't take much time, and they help you practice without stress. Remember, the goal is not perfection. The goal is to speak and enjoy the process. Every small practice you do is like a small step up a staircase. One step at a time, you will reach your goal. Keep going, my friend. Be patient with yourself and keep your practice light and kind. Every time you do one of these exercises, you will grow in confidence. In the next chapter, we'll look at some real-life examples of people who speak English clearly and confidently, even though their grammar isn't perfect. You'll see that your message can always shine through, and that will inspire you to keep practicing. Real-life examples to inspire confidence. You're doing wonderfully by staying with me. Now, let's talk about some real stories, examples of people just like you who speak English clearly and confidently without worrying too much about perfect grammar. These stories can inspire you and remind you that clear communication is always possible, even when mistakes happen. Imagine a woman named Maria. Maria moved to an English-speaking country a few years ago. At first, she was very nervous. She thought she needed to know every grammar rule before she could talk to anyone. But Maria soon realized this was holding her back. She began practicing the techniques we talked about, speaking slowly, using short sentences, and not stopping when she made mistakes. Over time, Maria's English became clearer. People understood her well, and she made many new friends. Maria learned that her message was more important than perfection. Then there's David, a young man who learned English at school but never spoke much because he was afraid of making grammar mistakes. When he started a new job, he needed to speak English every day. At first, he felt nervous and worried. But David practiced talking to himself and listening to English podcasts. He focused on speaking clearly rather than perfectly. Slowly, David gained confidence. His coworkers appreciated his efforts, and he was able to share his ideas easily. David's story shows us that regular practice and focusing on clarity make a big difference. Another inspiring example is Lynn, who moved from Asia to a new country. Lynn's English grammar was not perfect, but she was determined to communicate well. She used the shadowing technique every day, repeating short sentences from movies and songs. Lynn didn't worry about small mistakes. Instead, she focused on speaking with a calm, clear voice. Soon, Lynn noticed that people understood her better, and she felt more relaxed when talking. Lynn's experience teaches us that practice and patience help us speak clearly, even when grammar is still improving. These stories share a common lesson. Clear communication is always possible, even when your grammar isn't perfect. When you focus on your message and speak with confidence, people listen. When you don't let fear stop you, you improve every day. Remember, my friend, you are not alone in this journey. Every English learner has moments of doubt and fear, but with kindness, patience, and practice, you will find your voice. You will speak clearly and with confidence because your message matters. In the next chapter, we will talk about how to handle mistakes in a calm and positive way. Mistakes are a natural part of learning, and they do not mean failure. They mean growth. Keep your heart light and your mind open. You are doing an amazing job, handling the mistakes calmly and learning from them. You've come so far on this journey, and today we will talk about something very important: mistakes. Yes, mistakes. Many learners worry about making mistakes when speaking English. But I want you to think about mistakes in a new way. Mistakes are not bad. They are natural. They are part of learning. When you speak a new language, mistakes will happen. This is true for everyone, even native speakers. Nobody speaks perfectly all the time. Making mistakes means you are trying, you are learning, and you are growing. It's like riding a bicycle. When you first learn, you might fall a few times, but every time you get up, you get better. So what should you do when you make a mistake? First, don't panic. Take a deep breath. Smile to yourself and remember that it's okay. You can correct yourself gently if you want, but it's not always necessary. Sometimes it's better to keep going. Your message is more important than fixing every word. Second, learn to listen kindly to yourself. When you speak, focus on how clearly you are sharing your thoughts, not on tiny errors. If you notice a mistake after speaking, think about it as a helpful clue for your next practice, not as a failure. For example, if you say, "he go to school," and remember it should be, "he goes to school," note it gently and practice it later. Third, share your mistakes with friends or teachers you trust. When you speak with someone who encourages you, you can learn from your mistakes without fear. They might correct you kindly or show you better ways to say something. This is a wonderful way to improve, but only if it feels safe and positive. Finally, remind yourself that fluency is a journey, not a destination. It takes time and patience. Every mistake you make is a step forward because it helps you understand the language better. The important thing is to keep speaking and keep practicing. By accepting mistakes as a natural part of learning, you open the door to confidence and progress. You allow yourself to be brave, to speak, and to connect with others. You are doing something amazing. Every word you say, every sentence you try, is a victory. Keep this kindness in your heart as you practice. In the final chapter, we will summarize what we've learned and give you some warm encouragement to keep practicing every day. Your voice matters, and you are becoming a confident speaker step by step. Keep believing in yourself. I believe in you. Thank you so much for staying with me, my friend. You've done a wonderful job listening and learning today. Let's take a moment to remember the most important things we talked about. First, speaking clearly is about sharing your thoughts and ideas, not about being perfect. It's okay if your grammar isn't always right. What matters most is that people understand you and that you feel confident when you speak. Second, stressing too much about grammar can make you nervous and slow down your speaking. So, it's better to focus on simple words and short sentences that you know well. Speak slowly, pause when you need to, and don't be afraid to take your time. Third, practicing every day with gentle exercises like shadowing, talking to yourself, or reading aloud can help your speaking become more natural and smooth. These small steps add up and help you improve without pressure. Fourth, remember that everyone makes mistakes, even native speakers. Mistakes are part of learning and should be welcomed as signs of progress. When you handle your mistakes kindly, you grow stronger and more confident. Finally, know that you are not alone. Many learners feel the same worries and fears, but they also find success by being patient and kind to themselves. You are on a beautiful journey, and every step you take is important. My dear friend, keep practicing a little every day. Speak when you can, listen when you can, and most importantly, enjoy the process. Your English will improve naturally, and your confidence will grow. I'm proud of you for being here today and for choosing to keep learning. Remember, your voice matters, and the world wants to hear what you have to say. Keep going, keep smiling, and keep speaking clearly, without stress and with a happy heart. Thank you again, and I look forward to being with you in the next video. Take care and see you soon.